Hey, welcome back to Life, Love, and Real Estate. I am Daniel Palmer back again. Make sure before you even get into any of the knowledgeable goodnesses we're going to give you, make sure you do me a huge favor. Go ahead, wherever you're listening to this, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, go ahead and slam that subscribe button so you make sure you're on the front lines for everything that we're going to put out to help you navigate life, love, and real estate. Again, Daniel Palmer here, but you're not here for me. You're here for my much better pod half. How's it going, LaCressa?
Are they here for me? Hello, everyone. Hi, it's LaCressa, and we're back again to talk about some home buying.
Back again to talk about some home buying.
Life stuff. Yeah.
This is great because this is going to be kind of the nuts and bolts. We've been kind of esoteric and kind of dealing with that kind of stuff, but this is going to be good because it's going to be good, actionable knowledge for our listeners to get a hold of. But let's say you're listening to this, you say, hey, Daniel, LaCressa, I've got a house. I've had a house. What do I do now? Well, we've got an answer for that too. LaCressa, tell them about the class we're going to be teaching later this month.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. Actually, this is my first time hosting a class like this. I was rummaging my brain and just trying to think of how we can be of service to current homeowners. We have a tendency to focus on people getting into the market or selling current real estate, but you guys have homes and you've bought homes and you like your home and you're also building equity in your home, and people make money off of using their equity in multiple ways. So whether that is paying down some debt or using it to buy an investment property or investing some of those funds into the market or doing a home renovation, we just want to give you an idea of what you could do with this equity that they always talk about, all of this money that you're building in your home. How the hell can you use it? We're going to help you figure that out with a home buying class about equity. So
do me a huge favor. Make sure if this interests you in any way, if it interests someone in your life, if you know someone who owns a home, if you owned your home for more than 2 or 3 years, it's really good. It's a free class. Make sure you comment down below or find us on socials. I'm at dpalm66 and Daniel Palmer Mortgages all across social media. LaCressa's at LAC Sells ATL, LAC Sells ATL, all across. Reach out to us so we can reserve your spot to make sure you can learn how to use your equity. Reserve, that's a weird word and hard for me to say.
Yeah. Also, you get to do it from the comfort of your home. So let's talk about that. I don't need you to go anywhere. I just need you to tune in to us. And we will give you the dates. It's going to be coming up at the end of this month. We are now in the month of July. Half of this year is gone. That's freaking wild. But we wanted it to be something that's easy for you, something that's digestible, and that, you can just sit on your couch and learn how to use this money that's sitting there.
100%. But today we're going to talk about another group of folks, people who want to buy a house. And so we're going to talk about kind of that whole process from start to finish in the span of this podcast. So let's get started by you getting started. So LaCressa, something we talked about a lot in the whole getting started in the buying a home process is overcoming internal objections. This can be kind of that voice in the back of your head that says, hey, not for me. Hey, I've always been a renter. Hey, no one I know buys a house this young or this or X, Y, or Z. It's finding people getting in their own way sometimes, right?
It happens all the time. Look, we want a lot of things. Do we want to do the things to get the things that we want is the big question. At the end of the day, you are borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's a very big decision to make about what your timing is. I can always say that any market is your time. It doesn't matter what's going on. If you're ready to buy a home, then it's your time to buy a home. Don't let outside factors change that, but you do have some internal factors that you need to weigh out to see what makes sense for you. And, and that's where it starts. Does it make sense for you to buy right now? Either way, you're paying somebody's mortgage, right? You're paying either their mortgage or you can pay your own mortgage. What does that mean? What does that look like? Talk to one of us, talk to a realtor, talk to a lender, right? That's how we figure it out.
And the next step after you kind of figured out for yourself is making sure that you're doing the thing that I preach to all my clients. Stop listening to the outside voices because there's going to be media, there's going to be news. Look, the way it works is they scare you, they can sell you something. If you look at television and media, not necessarily as information gathering, but as connective tissue to the next advertisement. Look, if I can scare you, you're going to tune in. And if you tune in, I can sell you some cornflakes. It's essentially how TV works.
Well, I would also say just be careful who you're talking to in general about your home buying process. Your friends, your families, your coworkers can poo-poo on your idea. They can scare you based on their nightmare stories or their process, but they're not telling you all of the ins and outs of their process. They're only telling you about certain highlights that may not be that good. So I think when it comes to you making big decisions in your life in general, surround yourself by people who align with you, align with, in a sense, of your values and what's important to you. Because when you start talking to people and your values aren't aligned up, your idea of affordability, your idea of what living is, they are going to put their opinions on you. And then that's going to make it feel like a harder process than what it has to be. At the end of the day, you rely on yourself and your gut, and you know that you can make smart decisions for yourself because you've been doing it this far. You might as well trust yourself to do it a little bit further.
Amen to that. I love that. And remember, when we start having these conversations, it's not about the immediate satisfaction. Sometimes you'll come in, you'll meet me, and I'll say, hey, here's how we get to where we want to be. The biggest thing I want to remind people at this stage of the game, the answer is never no. It's how do we get to yes? Some of you are saying to yourselves, oh, I'm not in a position to, or I'll never be. Hey, until you look at how to get there, until you plot the path with someone who's got your best interest at heart, it's going to remain a mystery. So do me a huge favor. Call me, call a fellow lender, find out what you need to do to achieve the goals you have, and then you can actually work towards them.
Yeah. And also in the meantime, be getting some documents together, right? You have to be ready, willing, and able. The first thing starts with being willing. You want to buy a house. That is a huge step, right? The idea of being responsible for a house is different than when you're renting and you can just call someone to come and fix some things, which we all have nightmare stories of some landlords don't come and fix things as fast as we want.
Right.
When you are a homeowner, you are responsible for those things. And sometimes that can be a little scary, but there's many ways to protect yourself throughout that process. At the same time, being willing is one thing, being able is a whole other thing. And when you reach out to someone like Daniel, he lets you know if you are able or how soon you are able to purchase a home. Because if it's not now, it could be 6 months from now, or the 6 months can actually turn into 3 months from now, depending on the work that you need to do. But you have to start somewhere. Talk to an expert. Open yourself up. And we got to gather some documents, right? You can't buy a home if you haven't paid your taxes. You can't buy a home if you don't have any funds. Now, there are down payment assistance funds available that can give you 100% financing, but there's still going to be some skin in the game for you. So figure that out as well. What kind of reserves do you have? What is it that you truly can afford? I've been spending $1,500. I'm capable of spending 18. Whatever that number is for you, it's your number. Whatever your affordability is, whether it's $1,000 or $5,000 a month, work within your affordability.
So once we've done all this work, we've got you in a place where you're not only ready to buy, you're not only willing to buy, you are able to buy. That's when we're going to introduce you to LaCressa. I'm going to even give options. Go call LaCressa because she's going to help you differentiate what do you need in a home versus what you want. LaCressa, just kind of briefly overview kind of how that, and I always say tension because it's not a problem to solve. A problem to solve is like, I can't qualify for this loan. That's a problem. I solve that. A tension to manage, however, is what do you need, v, what do you want, and how do you navigate that?
So I'll just tell you how I work. And every realtor is a little bit different, but I always work from needs first, especially if you're a first-time buyer. Unless you have a ton of cash sitting somewhere, we need to go off of needs. And I think that just is in general. You go off of your needs first, and then you get as many wants as possible. And by needs, it is, this is what I can afford. This is a monthly payment I can afford. This is a monthly payment that I'm comfortable with. I think that's the first start. Then it's bedrooms and bathrooms, or house, townhome, or condominium, or particular neighborhood or part of town, or how long your commute is, or school districts, whatever that is. There is something that is most important to you. And I, as your realtor, need to know what that is, right? I've had single people who want 5-bedroom houses. And then we talk about it and they end up getting a 1-bedroom condo. I've had, it goes across the board. But at the end of the day, we have to do a deep dive in what is it that you need? What is the urge for you to buy a home? What is going to give you that sense of security? And it may not be based on bedrooms and bathrooms.
And then part of that's also going to be being honest and having those conversations with the realtor you trust about what your future is going to look like. Because most people are going to buy, sell, or refinance every 5 to, let's call it 9 years these days. Whatever that timeline looks like, you're going to want to make sure the home you're purchasing is going to be ready for the life that you're building. For example, when we bought the house that I'm recording from right now, it was just me and my wife. It was just 2 of us. It was a lot of house. You add a toddler, it's a lot less house. It's a lot less space than we had when we started this adventure. But that's because when we bought the home, we honestly, maybe one day, if the day is here, the child is here, the house is his. So it's important that you have these conversations. And again, what you want and what you need right now is important. Where you see yourself in 5 years is also important too.
Yeah. And I would say too, yes, we want to definitely look to the future. You want to be able to grow into your home a little bit, because I can tell you that as much as people say, I'm only going to be here for 2 years, 2 years can go by very fast. As we've seen, this half of the year has gone by so fast already. Right. So definitely having a longer term plan is great. Having a home that you can actually afford is one of the most beautiful things that you can do for yourself, because there's nothing worse than being house poor. There's nothing worse than not being able to do the things or maintain the lifestyle that you have, or try to create the lifestyle that you want, because you've dumped it all into just the house, right? You are more than just the house, but it definitely is your base of security, and you can build from there.
100%. One of the best parts about this part, when you're getting to know your real estate agent, your loan officer, you're going to be continuing to building your new home team. Because when the property is found and you're ready to put it in the contract, look, you're going to have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of spinning plates. What you don't want to do is start looking for an insurance agent then, inspectors you trust, maybe a GC to go out and get eyes on things. Talk to your realtors. They're going to have these resources, because guess what? They do this for a living.
Yeah, it is what we do. It's there are going to be decisions that have to be made, right? And you can't make those decisions if you don't have all the information. And so we have to do a deeper dive. And there are going to be things that you think that were important to you in the beginning. I needed to have this. And then we start getting in the home and you realize that something else important came up. And that's what I'm here for. That's what your realtor is here for. I'm always going to be throwing back at you what you said was important to you, to make sure that it's still important to you. Was it really the kitchen and the bathroom, or did it happen to be the yard? Did it happen to be the level of renovation? Or is it the school district where you thought you could deal with and now you're like, no, I can't? Or it's the commute. It's whatever it is. It doesn't matter. I've had people make decisions based off an HVAC unit. It doesn't matter what it is. I just need to know what's important to you in order to find the best thing for you. And I would say, also think about it as we are a team, right? We don't get paid until you close. So let's talk about that, right? So we are working together as a team in good faith to get you to the closing. And so it is a team effort. It is easy to drive down the street and pick a house and say, I want that house. It's up to Daniel to let you know if you can afford the house. And it's up to me to negotiate a deal so that you can get into a house for a price in which you can afford and in the condition that you need in order to move forward. So you're not overly investing in your home on the front end, unless that was your choice, right? So picking the house is easy. Now we have to make sure that you're able to afford the house, and it also gives you what you need. So when you're looking at Zillow and you're looking at realtor.com and it gets so exciting and you see all of these houses in your price point, let's say $300,000, and I see 100 homes in $300,000, there's probably going to be less than 10 homes that actually works for you based on the neighborhood, the location. It's never just the price. It could be the style of the home, the size of the lot. It's a million different things that are factors, and the 300 doesn't equate the same everywhere. So we have to find the best of that price point for you based on your needs. And that's going to vary with each person.
but you've done the work. You've done the application. You've gotten pre-approved. You've gone to LaCressa. You were honest and upfront, and she was able to make your dreams come true. She found you the home. You're under contract, and now you're going to hear two words that you're not used to hearing in this process: due diligence. We're going to have LaCressa talk about it in a second, but I want you to know, LaCressa, the team you've built, our goal inside due diligence is to protect your money at all costs.
Oh my gosh. That honestly, I feel like that is my main goal, is to protect your money at the end of the day. And your money is the down payment. Your money is the closing costs. And we're going to back up a little bit to kind of talk to you about also when you're ready to buy a home and what the cost of that means. But yes, we are going to guide you in the best way to protect your money. We're going to keep you aware of deadlines to protect your money. We're going to extend deadlines for contingencies of things that are protecting your money to continue to protect your money until we have an answer whether this is going to work or not. Daniel and I are working on a situation that's going to work out. I feel like this is going to work out with a current client, but we've had to really troubleshoot some things because we got really far down the finish line. And now things aren't looking so crisp and clean. And now I'm having to bring in multiple people to try to figure out how to make this work. So make sure you are guided by a good team, number one. And then number two, make sure that their goal is protecting your money at all costs, whether your earnest money, your inspection money, your appraisal money, all of that is important to you. And all of that's going to get you to the finish line. And you cannot be working with someone who's not staying abreast of the dates and the timelines and pushing everything forward. Don't have a passive realtor. Have a lender, have a realtor that can work together as a team. Because if we are proactive, we can get you to the finish line. It's better than us being reactive and trying to scramble and figure something out because we didn't know at the last minute.
And I love what you said at the beginning there, talking about the actual financial commitment into buying a home. This is why we do the pre-approvals. This is why we do the full pre-qualifications, so that you're not getting that sticker shock once you're under contract. You're going to know about your down payment. You're going to know about your closing costs. You're going to know, if you work with me, you're going to know what happens if, worst case scenario, it's all coming out of your pocket. But because you're working with a seasoned professional like LaCressa, she's going to use the leverage and knowledge that she has to make sure you're getting the best deal possible in negotiations. And that's where she comes in again. She does all the work on the front end for you. And then she's the one professionally negotiating not just the initial contract, but once you've gone through due diligence, the addressing of concerns on the property. Because guess what? Once you get a better look at something, you're going to have a better idea on what you're going to need to move forward. And this is when that happens, when you get all those I's dotted and T's crossed for the final breakdown of what you're going to be needing to bring to the closing table.
Yeah, the contract is just the beginning. Well, let's start before that. The beginning is reaching out to one of us and figuring out what your numbers are, figuring out what makes sense, figuring out if I have all of the funds that I need in order to close out on a deal. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about buying a home is that when loans are advertised and numbers are seen online through social media or whatever, you can get this home for this amount of money for this monthly payment. They're only talking to you about a portion of that, and they're making assumptions on your down payment. So when you are thinking about buying a home, it's not just the down payment. It's also lawyers' fees and lenders' fees and transfer taxes and insurance money, because you got to pay for insurance, because God forbid if something happens, you need to be able to replace it or fix it, right? All of that comes together as you bringing money to the table to cover all of those different things. The down payment is basically your initiation fee for the loan. And then we have administrative fees, right, that are associated with that to go along with your down payment. So we have to talk about total funds as well, because sometimes the sticker shock that happens is you get the pre-approval, everything is looking great, you have this down payment, and then you see the real numbers that it takes to actually get the home to closing. And now you have a crazy moment of, oh my God, I don't know what to do because I don't have all that money. I was only focused on the down payment. It's more than just a down payment. Remember that.
100%.
It's more
100%.
than just a down payment. You're also going to need inspection fees, which is what happens during the due diligence period. Sorry, I'm on a roll. But I just want to say,
let her go.
Due diligence period, you have an inspection. We used to call it a look period or an inspection period. Now it's called a due diligence period. It could be a day, it could be 5 days, it could be 7 days, it could be 10 days. You're going to have upfront money to pay for the inspector. I can tell you, no offense to Daniel, the lender doesn't care if you get the home inspected. They care about the value of the home. I care about you getting the home inspected. I care about you knowing the condition of the home prior to you buying it. If the home is of value, the lender is going to lend on the home. I want you to make sure that it's still a comfortable thing for you to move into and you know what you're getting into fully.
That's 100%. 100%. So while due diligence is occurring and you're getting all that wrapped up, over in lender land, you're coming out of underwriting. Yay, you're out of underwriting. Everyone's looked at everything, and you're going to get what's called a conditional approval. I'm going to say this very slowly. Your conditional approval is just that, conditional. There's going to be a list of things they're going to want to have completed to wrap it up. I'm going to tell you right now, no one's picking on you. No one's picking on you. No one who saw your name and said, let me ask them for a bunch of stuff. When lending changed around 2008, when the market crashed, everyone got particular on how they do these things. So The rules are in place not just to protect the lenders. We're also trying to protect the buyers from being in a situation where they can't afford what they're trying to do. So know that every request you get is moving the ball forward towards your closing table. And then once we got everything wrapped up on your side, we've taken care of title and appraisal, which means that the property is also what they say it is. Because we're not just vetting you, we're vetting everything about the transaction, because the loan, the money they're putting forward, it touches every part of the transaction. Once we get all that wrapped up, you'll get your what's called a final approval, and then you'll get your final funds request and the closing disclosure. And then it's time for my favorite day of every month for every client every time. And that's time to pop some bubbly.
Yeah. So well before that, right? Let me just be, just well before that. Number one, you're going to have to submit a lot of documents. At the end of the day, you're asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars for someone to give you and to trust in you that you're going to pay back these hundreds of thousands of dollars. So through that requires a lot of paperwork, requires a lot of explanation. Sometimes you have to explain things multiple times in order to satisfy this person in the sky who's going to approve your loan. So as frustrating as it can be to be like, oh, they're asking me for more paperwork, you're also asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars, okay? So it comes with the territory. During your due diligence period, while you are getting your inspection done, there's going to be multiple things that are happening. You get to meet lovely Daniel. Daniel gets to review your numbers. He gets to tell you what you can be approved for. But things don't get real until you have a contract. Until you have something under contract, you can't go fully in with Daniel. Once you start to go fully in with Daniel, they're going to be digging in on the financial side, while I'm going to be helping you to work through everything that you need to understand about the home, the physical place that you're going to be investing in. So we're going to be tag teaming you, but you're going to have to handle multiple things at a time. You're going to be submitting paperwork and you're going to be doing an inspection. We're going to be reviewing an inspection report, and then we start negotiations again. Negotiations on repairs or money towards the cost of repairs. At that time, they're also digging into your financing. So no, it's going to get a little loopy, but we're going to be your steady hand to get you to the finish line. But the contract is not the end. The contract is just the beginning.
And this is why, and before we move to the closing table, because you brought us back, I do want to point out, this is why I tell all my clients, let's get you through our VIP pre-approval process first. What does that mean? What does that look like? That means that while you're out searching, before you even started your search, let's collect all the documents we can. Let's bring the level of tertian during this other later period as low as possible and give LaCressa the most ammunition she can have at the negotiation table. Because if we've done all the financial vetting, if we've looked at pay stubs, bank statements, tax returns, all the things about you, Then it takes some power back at the negotiation table, one, but two, it makes this process a little bit less hectic, a little bit less causing less turgid. It's less emotionally fraught to do this part up front, knock it out, and then feel confident about the back end. But let's go towards everything's worked out perfectly. You've got your final approval. You've wired your cash. It is closing day. You've got these two smiling faces at your closing table. LaCressa, talk to me about a final walkthrough.
Okay. So many things needs to be happening. Number one, it means you got to closing, right? So we're not doing a final walkthrough until we get what's called a clear to close. That means that Daniel will be reaching out to you to let you know that you have been approved for a loan, and within 72 hours, you're going to be heading to closing. Right before closing, especially if you negotiated repairs, you want to make sure that the repairs were done. Right? We want to make sure that the seller kept their word and got the work done prior to closing. We also want to make sure that the home is in the same condition it was under contract. Because I can tell you, I've had homes broken into while being under contract. Sellers had to come in and fix things and put money back into the home prior to coming to the closing table, because when they sign that contract, they're saying they're going to deliver the home in the condition and what it is at least, right? And then if there's any improvements that have to be made, we want to get receipts for work done, and we want to walk through it and make sure that the work is done. If the work by chance is not done, then we have time to submit an amendment saying, hey, seller, you need to get this done. Or we talk to a closing attorney and go, hey, we need to hold back some funds per se in order to make sure that the seller is going to do what they're going to do. So a walkthrough is extremely, extremely important. Extremely important. Sorry, there's some work going on outside of my thing, and they just started again. I thought they were done.
You're good. You're good. You're good. That's something you want to know during due diligence and before your final walkthroughs. Come to your property at different times of day and see what's going on.
That's so wild. Of course they come back. I hate them so much. I have work getting done on my condo because of the fact that things happen in condos and work needs to be done. So there's this, but we won't be on this much longer.
No, ma'am.
So
we'll wrap up shortly. This is the life of a homeowner. Things happen sometimes, but you don't get to be a homeowner without going through signing day. I like to tell my clients, imagine you're a star athlete signing autographs for sick kids, but at the end of the day, you get a house out of it. It's gonna be a lot of signing, a lot of handshakes, a lot of hugs, and maybe, just maybe, some of Susan's famous oatmeal raisin cookies.
I want some oatmeal raisin cookies. Yes, at the closing table, you are going to obviously be signing off on a lot of things. With a wonderful closing attorney, they're going to explain all of this paperwork that you are signing and what it actually means, okay? So it's not just willy-nilly signing your name on the dotted line. One of the things you're also going to know is what your total monthly payment's going to be, when your payment is going to happen, what the cost of your overall loan can be, and then how much money you need to wire to the closing table, because we are wiring funds. We also want to just caution not to just be wiring things, to have instructions to wire, because people have lost tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars getting an email thinking that it was coming from a closing attorney, and it's not, because there are a lot of amazing thieves out there who are really good at what they're doing. So throughout every aspect of this process, we're going to be guiding you on the best practices and how to get you to the closing line, to the finish line, basically.
100%. And that's the beauty of it all, because the finish line is not the finish line. It's not the end of anything. It's the beginning of you being a homeowner. Congratulations, you made it. But that also means that every month when you make that mortgage payment and the values go up, you're going to be increasing your equity in your property, which means you should be reaching out to us by leaving a comment here or finding us on social so that you can be a part of our equity class later this month to make sure to learn how to make your property work for you, and occasionally work on the walls next door.
Oh my God. I mean, seriously, this is so funny and so ridiculous at the same time. I thought I'd had this happy window. But life of home ownership, living in a community, and some exterior work is being done. So I probably should have been in the office today, but here we are.
We'll let them finish their work.
Talking about home ownership with home banging happening. Welcome to my world.
Art imitating life, imitating art. LaCressa, tell everyone where they can find you to learn more about their homeownership journey and to kick it off with you.
It's always an interesting ride, folks. So LaCressa Morrow, Keller Williams, in town, Atlanta, and LAC sells ATL on Instagram. I don't know. You can Google me, LaCressa Morrow. There's not a lot of LaCressas out there, I can promise you. I think there might be 5, and there's definitely only one LaCressa Morrow. So just Google me. You'll find me.
There's tons of Daniels. So make sure you follow me on socials. Daniel Palmer Mortgages. I'm here to help you get into a home. You already pay rent, which means you can pay a mortgage. It's my job to help you qualify. Make sure you follow this podcast, Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you get your fine podcast for free 99. And make sure you also comment on the YouTube below so that you can get your exclusive link to our equity class later this month in July. Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to let the gentlemen outside LaCressa's place finish up their work, and we're going to see you guys in 2 weeks.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for your patience of the banging. It won't be the same next time.
It might be.
You never know. It could be like the fire alarm beep. That's a good one for me.
That's a vintage pod. That's how you know it's a good podcast. If you say, somebody should change those batteries. That's a good show.
Oh, and she's a homeowner? Got it. Okay.
We'll see you guys later.
Bye, y'all.